The gravel bit into my palms as I clawed at the dirt. My backpack spilling clothes like guts from a fresh wound. "You know, son of mine," Dad's voice echoed from the truck's taillights, shrinking into the Texas dusk, leaving me with nothing but the hum of cicadas and the taste of betrayal sharp on my tongue. I was 18, outed by a stupid photo on my phone, and in that moment, I swore I'd rise from this ditch like a phoenix, or burn the world trying. That night stretched into an eternity of hitchhiking shadows and diner coffee that tasted like regret. By dawn, I'd made it to the edge of Austin, my body aching from the cold shoulder of the highway. I collapsed on a bus bench outside a Greyhound station, staring at the faded ads for escape routes to anywhere but here. My phone was dead, my wallet light, $50 and a crumpled family photo I'd torn Dad's face from. The first rays hit the horizon, painting the sky in bruised oranges, and I whispered to no one, "This is rock bottom. Climb or die." A bus pulled up with a hiss, doors yawning open like a reluctant invitation. I boarded without thinking, flashing my cash for a one-way to Dallas. The seats smelled of stale peanuts and desperation. But it was motion, finally. Motion away from the farm, where Mom had cried silent tears while Dad loaded my shit into the truck bed. "It's for your own good, Christian," she'd said, her voice cracking like dry earth. For my own good? Being left like roadkill because I kissed a boy in secret? No, that was their fear, their small-town Bible Belt poison seeping into our veins. Dallas hit me like a fever dream. The skyline loomed, all glass and steel ambition, a far cry from the flat cotton fields of home. I crashed at a youth shelter that first week, bunking with runaways who swapped stories like trading cards, abuse, addiction, the usual American underbelly. Mine felt tame until I said it out loud. My own dad dumped me on Highway 84 'cause I'm queer. The room went quiet, then erupted in nods and "been there." Brother murmurs. It bonded us, that shared scar tissue. But survival wasn't poetry, it was grind. I lied my way into a busboy gig at a dive bar in Deep Ellum, scrubbing plates till my hands blistered, dodging the leers from drunk frat boys who didn't know I was one of them under the grease. Nights, I'd sneak into the back alley for air, lighting stolen smokes and dreaming of faces that weren't twisted in disgust. That's where I met Jonathan. He was nursing a beer at the alley's mouth one humid Friday, sketchpad in lap, charcoal smudges on his jeans like war paint. Tall, with that effortless cool of a guy who'd grown up in the city's pulse, messy dark hair, hazel eyes that caught the neon flicker like hidden fire. "You look like you could use a real drink," he said, not looking up from his drawing. I froze, plate still in hand from the kitchen rush. "Or maybe just someone who doesn't stare like you're a freak show." I laughed, bitter and surprised. "Guilty as charged. Freak show's the house special." He glanced up then, and something in his gaze, curious, not pitying, hooked me. We talked till closing, him spilling about his art school dropout life, me dodging the family bomb. By shift's end, he offered his couch. No strings. Man, just a soft landing. His apartment was a chaotic gallery in East Dallas, canvases leaning like dominoes, paint-splattered floors, the scent of turpentine and takeout. That first night, I slept like the dead, waking to coffee and his easy grin. "Pancakes? Or are you one of those avocado toast hipsters?" Jonathan teased, flipping batter with theatrical flair. It was the first real laugh I'd mustered in weeks. Light and unforced, like sunlight cracking through storm clouds. Days blurred into a rhythm, me bussing tables, him hustling freelance gigs illustrating indie comics. We'd collide in the evenings, him dragging me to underground poetry slams where words hung heavy as smoke. Me teaching him the two-step at hole-in-the-wall honky-donks that didn't care about labels. He was out and proud, unapologetic in a way that made my hidden fractures ache with envy. Why hide, he'd ask, tracing lazy circles on my knee during movie marathons. I'd shrug, the weight of Highway 84 pressing like an anchor. Some scars don't fade easy. Our first kiss happened on a whim, under the glow of a mural-covered bridge during a street art crawl. Rain had just stopped, leaving the air electric, puddles reflecting graffiti like shattered rainbows. He pulled me close to shield from a passing truck splash, our breaths mingling, and then his lips were on mine, soft, tentative, tasting of cheap wine and possibility. I melted into it, hands fisting his shirt, the world narrowing to the heat of him. When we broke apart, he whispered, "You're safe here, Christian." With me, safe. The word lodged in my throat like a promise I wanted to believe. We fell into each other after that, a tangle of limbs and late-night confessions on his fire escape. He'd talk about his fractured family, mom bailed when he was 10, dad a ghost in rehab cycles, and I'd nod, holding back my own ghosts. Jonathan made me feel seen, not as the farm boy's mistake, but as whole. We'd cook spaghetti with Jared's sauce, laughing over burnt garlic bread, or drive his beat-up Civic to White Rock Lake at midnight, skipping stones and stealing kisses under star-pricked skies. But secrets have teeth. Mine gnawed at me during quiet moments, like when he'd ask about home. They're just complicated, I'd say, changing the subject to his latest sketch, a portrait of me, fierce-eyed and unbroken, that he swore hung in some imagined gallery. Guilt twisted like kudzu. He deserved the truth. But spilling it felt like inviting the ditch back into our bed. 3 months in, the first crack showed. Jonathan landed a gig illustrating a graphic novel for a small press, queer superheroes saving a dystopian world, and invited me to the launch party in a converted warehouse in the design district. I showed up in my one decent button-down, nerves buzzing like live wires. The crowd was electric, artists with rainbow pins, writers quoting Audre Lorde, the air thick with acceptance I'd only glimpsed in books. He pulled me on stage for the toast, arm around my waist, and in front of 50 strangers, said, "This guy's my anchor. Christian, the one who reminds me art's worth the fight." Cheers erupted, and I beamed, chest swelling with a belonging I'd never known. But as we mingled, a tipsy photographer snapped us mid-kiss, the flash blinding. "Cute couple," she slurred, posting it to Instagram on the spot. My stomach dropped. What if it went viral? What if someone from home saw? That night, back in the dim glow of his loft. Panic clawed up. "Delete it," I begged, scrolling frantically. Jonathan frowned, setting down his beer. "Why? It's us. Man. Beautiful." I paced, words tumbling out in a rush, the photo, the fight, the truck tires crunching away. His face shifted from confusion to horror, then fury. "They left you? Like trash? And you didn't tell me?" I choked, tears hot. "It makes me broken." He crossed the room in 2 strides, pulling me into a hug that crushed the air from my lungs. "You're not broken, Christian. They're the monsters." We held each other till dawn, his heartbeat a steady drum against mine, but the seed of doubt had sprouted. Trust, fragile as it was, now carried thorns. Winter crept in with a vengeance, Dallas frosting over an uncharacteristic chill. Jonathan's book took off modestly, signings at local shops, interviews on queer podcasts, and he started talking future, a shared studio, road trips to Marfa for art retreats. I nodded along, but the calls from Mom's block number haunted me. Unbeknownst to me, She'd been trying, leaving voicemails I deleted unheard. We miss you. Son, come home. My own grind paid off too. The bar promoted me to bartender. Tips flowing like the Trinity River after rain. I saved every dime, dreaming of community college, graphic design, maybe, to echo Jonathan's passion. We'd sketch together on napkins, his lines fluid and bold, mine tentative strokes building confidence. You've got talent buried under all that fear, he'd say, kissing my temple. Those moments were oxygen, pure and vital. But the past doesn't stay buried. One February evening, as sleet pelted the windows, Jonathan's phone buzzed with a news alert. Holy shit, he muttered, shoving it at me. A local paper from my hometown. Missing son cited? Family seeks answers after gay teen vanishes. My face stared back from a grainy yearbook photo. The article twisting facts. Me running away after a family disagreement. Dad quoted as praying for his safe return. No mention of the abandonment. Just pious concern. Rage boiled up. White hot. Lying bastards, I snarled, hurling the phone. Jonathan caught it. Eyes wide. Call them out. Sue them. Something. But I shook my head, collapsing onto the couch. It's their word against mine. Small town rules. He sat beside me, hand on my thigh, but tension hummed between us like a live wire. You can't let them rewrite you. Chris. Fight back. The argument simmered for days. He pushed for confrontation, a letter, a podcast tell-all, while I retreated, fear coiling tight. What if they win? What if you see me as? That scared kid, I'd whisper at night, his back turned in the dark. I'm not them, he'd snap, but the distance grew, a chasm widening with every unspoken hurt. Then came the bomb. Late March, Jonathan vanished for a solo sketch trip to Austin, leaving a note. Need space to think. Love you. Panic-clawed, I drove down in a borrowed truck, heart hammering. His hotel room was empty, but his sketch pad lay open, pages of us, then sketches of a shadowed figure from his past, labeled Forgive. Tucked inside, a faded photo of him as a teen, arm around an older man. His uncle? No, the note on back, Dad's lover. The secret that broke us. Betrayal hit like a sucker punch. Jonathan had hidden his own abyss, a father who'd left for another man, mirroring my abandonment. He'd known the pain intimately, but never shared, using my story as a mirror without reflection. I confronted him by phone, voice steel. You preached truth, but hoarded yours. We're both liars now. He sobbed apologies, but the damage festered. We patched it uneasily, vowing brutal honesty, but fractures lingered. Spring thawed the city, cherry blossoms mocking our wilted trust. I threw myself into work, enrolling in night classes at El Centro, my designs earning quiet praise. Jonathan's Star Rose, a gallery show in June, queer icons reimagined. We attended hand in hand. The crowd's warmth a balm, but his eyes darted, haunted by what-ifs. Summer scorched in, and with it, a crossroads. An email from a New York agent, interest in my portfolio, a chance for an internship at a boutique design firm. Go, Jonathan urged, masking his flicker of fear. This is your Phoenix moment, but leaving meant risking us, distance testing the glue of our bond. What if it's too much? I confessed over rooftop wine. The city sprawled below like a glittering dare. He cupped my face, thumb brushing my lip. Then we fight for it. Like superheroes in my book. We made love that night, slow, reverent. Bodies mapping forgiveness, but dawn brought the call. Mom, unblocked in a weak moment. Christian, please. Your father's sick. Heart attack. He asked for you. The world tilted. Sick? After discarding me like a bad harvest, Jonathan squeezed my hand. Go. End it right. But rage warred with pity, love with loathing. I booked the flight home. Stomach knotted. Jonathan driving me to DFW with a kiss that tasted a goodbye. The farm loomed unchanged, sagging porch. Cotton fields whispering secrets. Mom hugged me fierce, tears soaking my shirt. He's dying. Baby. Forgives you. Dad lay pale in the hospice bed, tubes snaking like accusations. His eyes met mine, watery. Son, I was wrong. Scared. The town's talk. He trailed off, hand trembling toward mine. I took it, the grip weak but real. You broke me, Dad. But I'm whole now. We talked haltingly, his repressed youth. A brother lost to AIDS in the 80s. Fear's cruel inheritance. No apologies mended the ditch, but understanding bloomed, fragile as new shoots. He passed at midnight, Mom sobbing into my shoulder. I stayed for the funeral, the town murmuring, some stares, some nods of quiet respect. Back in Dallas, Jonathan waited with open arms, but the trip unearthed more, a letter from Dad's lawyer. A modest inheritance. Use it, Jonathan said. I did, pouring it into launching my own freelance hustle. Designs for queer nonprofits. Billboards screaming visibility. Success trickled, then flooded. A viral campaign for marriage equality. Features in Out magazine. A year later, Jonathan proposed on that rooftop. Ring simple silver. City lights are confetti. Partners in crime, art, and all the messy in between. I said yes, tears salting the yes. But the real stun came unscripted. Christmas. We drove home unannounced. My arm linked with Jonathan's. Our rings catching the sun. Mom gasped at the door, then pulled us in, turkey roasting, siblings wide-eyed. Dad's old chair empty, but his Bible open to an underlined verse, love thy neighbor as thyself. The family dinner crackled, questions tumbling. My success spilling like fine wine. The Manhattan loft we'd bought. The gallery show Jonathan curated featuring my graphics. You're happy, my brother stammered. Fort paused. I nodded, Jonathan's hand warm on my knee. Thriving. And loved. Stares turned to toasts. Awkward but earnest. Mom whispered later, he'd be proud. Maybe. The ditch scarred me, but it forged me too, resilient, unapologetic. As we drove away, Jonathan's head on my shoulder, I glanced back, the farm shrinking. Not a prison anymore, but a chapter closed. America, with its divides and dreams, had room for us after all. Yet closure's a myth, ghosts linger in the rear view. That triumphant return masked undercurrents, my siblings' sidelong glances. The unspoken, but you're still, hanging like humidity. Jonathan sensed it, squeezing my thigh as we merged onto I-35. You okay? Cowboy, his drawl. Half teasing, half tender. Pull me back. Yeah. Just. Layers. We stopped at a Whataburger in Waco. Fries drowning in ketchup, dissecting the day like a therapy session. They saw the shiny version, I said, dipping a fry. Not the ditch dweller. He stole one. Eyes soft. They saw enough. Give him time, or don't. Your call. Time became our ally and adversary. New York swallowed us whole that spring, subway symphonies. Bagel brunches. The firm's glass-walled office overlooking the Hudson. My designs exploded, bold graphics for Glad campaigns, turning pain into protest art. Jonathan's illustrations graced Times Square billboards. Queer nights battling bias. We were the golden couple, brunching with Chelsea gallerists. Our love a quiet revolution. But success amplified shadows. Late nights bled into arguments, me buried in deadlines. Him sketching alone, the loft echoing with what's left unsaid. You're drifting, he'd accuse over cold Thai takeout. Am I? I'd fire back. Laptop glowing accusatory. The ditches echo, abandonment's fear, now twisted into self-sabotage. We'd reconcile in fierce makeups, bodies reaffirming vows, but cracks spiderwebbed. The real fracture hit Memorial Day weekend. An invite from Mom, family reunion in the hill country. All of us. No judgments. Jonathan arched a brow. Trap or truce? I wavered. Heart a battlefield. Truce. We go. Showing dear life. He agreed, packing his sketchpad like armor. The drive south was nostalgia-laced torture, rolling hills dotted with longhorns. Willie Nelson on the radio, crooning redemption. Mom's hug at the ranch was fierce, but my brother's wife, Sarah, offered a stiff handshake, eyes flicking to Jonathan's rainbow keychain. So, you're the partner. Dinner crackled, ribs smoky, tension thicker. Uncle Ray, Dad's brother, cornered me by the fire pit. Heard you're some hotshot now. But this lifestyle? Town still talks. Jonathan, overhearing, bristled. Lifestyle? It's love? Sir. Same as yours. Ray flushed, mumbling retreat. Later, under stars pricked like accusations. Jonathan paced. This is poison. Chris. They're leeches on your progress. I pulled him close. Fireflies winking. They're family. Flawed as hell. But mine. The kiss that followed was desperate. A dam against the tide. Back in the city, the reunion festered. Jonathan withdrew, burying in a solo exhibit dark pieces on fractured legacies, mine subtly woven in. Critics raved, raw, unflinching queer Americana. But at the opening, a collector cornered him. That central figure, abandoned kin, personal. Jonathan's nod was tight, eyes finding me across the room. Later, champagne buzz fading. He confessed, it's you. Us. The fear they planted. Guilt gnawed. My ties to home were chains on him. Cut him, he asked. Voice small. I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I dove deeper into work, landing a TEDx talk on From Ditch to Design, reclaiming queer narratives. The stage lights burned. Words pouring. They left me for who I love. But love rebuilt me. Applause thundered. Viral clips flooding feeds. Mom texted, proud. Wish your dad saw. Summer peaked in heatwave haze. Our anniversary, a rooftop escape, catered tacos. String lights. A playlist of our first dance songs. Jonathan gifted a custom sketch. Us as intertwined vines. Roots deep despite storms. To growing together, he toasted. We danced slow. City hum below. His breath warm on my neck. Forever, I murmured. Damn right, he replied, sealing it with a kiss that promised eternity. But eternity's fragile. September brought hurricane whispers. Harvey's ghost stirring Gulf fears, but our storm brewed internal. A package arrived, Dad's old trunk, shipped from Mom. Inside, letters. Yellowed, from his youth. One, to an unnamed can't leave her. But God, I miss you. My stomach plummeted. Dad, queer, repressed, married, raising us in denial? I showed Jonathan, hands shaking. He was like us. Hit it all. Fury and pity warred. Jonathan's face darkened. Explains the hate. But doesn't excuse dumping you. We dissected it for weeks. Therapy sessions via Zoom with a queer counselor. Unpacking generational trauma. You're not him, Jonathan affirmed. But doubt lingered in his sketches. shadows lengthening. October's chill mirrored our cooling. My firm offered a promotion, lead designer, but it meant LA relocation. Sunset Dreams, they pitched. Jonathan's gallery countered with a Brooklyn expansion. Choose, he said over diner pie. Forts clinking like countdowns. Us or ambition? The question gutted. The ditch whispered failure. I choose us, I lied. Heart splintering. We delayed, but tension coiled. Thanksgiving loomed. Mom's invite again. Bring Jonathan. Heal. He refused. Not ready for their half-assed grace. Alone. I went. The farm table laden. Siblings probing. Trouble in paradise? My sister asked. Wine loosening tongues. I deflected. But Mom's eyes pierced. Love's work. Son. Don't ditch it. The flight back was turmoil. Jonathan met me at JFK. Arms open, but eyes wary. Missed you. We tumbled into bed, reclaiming territory, but dawn brought the ultimatum. LA or me? He whispered. Tears stung. Can't lose you, but the offer's deadline loomed. A guillotine. November elections stirred national bile. Anti-LGBT bills snaking through states. Headlines screaming division. My talk went megaviral. Protests chanting my words. Offers poured, book deals. Speaking tours. Jonathan's exhibits sold out, but he confided, fame's devouring us. A fight erupted, me accusing him of envy, me of prioritizing ghosts. Go to LA. Be the success story. I'll fade, heart-shattering. I boarded the flight west. Alone. Palm trees mocked as I signed the lease. Sterile condo, echoing emptiness. Text to Jonathan went unread, calls to voicemail. Weeks blurred, meetings, mock-ups, hollow victories. Mom called, fix it, baby. Like your dad couldn't. Dad's letters burned in my mind. His unspoken J, a parallel prison. Christmas Eve, rock bottom redux. Alone in a high-rise. City lights blurring through tears. I dug out the trunk's last relic. Dad's watch. Engraved time heals. Dialing Jonathan. Voice breaking. Come west. Or I quit it all. Silence. Then, flight tomorrow. He arrived disheveled. Coat dusted with snow. We collided in the lobby. Sobs and kisses indistinguishable. Idiot, he gasped. Thought you'd choose shine over me. Never, I vowed. We rebuilt slow, him commuting for gallery ties, me freelancing remotely. Spring bloom tentative, joint projects, a podcast on queer legacies. By summer, success stabilized, not stardom, but sustainable. We bought a Craftsman in Silver Lake. Porch swing for stargazing. Mom visited, awkward but thawing, baking pecan pies while Jonathan sketched her laugh lines. You're good for him, she admitted. Yet the past's final twist waited. Fall brought Dad's will amendment, a trust for my son's partner, with a note. Knew Jonathan's dad once. Regret mine. J, Jonathan's father. Worlds colliding in mercy's late hour. We laughed through tears. Toasting ghosts. The ditch, a distant scar, fueling our fire. America, fractured and fierce, held space for healing, not perfect, but profoundly human. Healing's not linear. It's a Texas two-step, forward, back, spin. That revelation about Dad and Jonathan's father, it bonded us deeper, but unearthed fresh graves. We poured over letters in our Silver Lake kitchen, coffee steaming, dawn painting the hills gold. They knew each other, Jonathan marveled, tracing faded ink. Lovers? Friends? I shrugged, ache blooming. Doesn't change the ditch, but maybe explains the mercy. Mom confirmed over encrypted call, your dad met Jack, Jonathan's pa, in Nam. War bonds. You know, lost touch when Jack came out. Your dad. Didn't. She paused. Voice thick. He carried it like a stone. Jonathan's eyes glistened. His own dad had OD'd years back. Secrets buried with him. Generations of hiding. We're breaking it. We channeled it into art. A collaborative graphic novel. Echoes of the closet, weaving our stories into fictional queer vets finding love post-trauma. Publishers clamored. We inked a deal with a progressive house in San Francisco. Tours followed. Readings in dusty indie shops from Portland to Provincetown. Audiences weeping, nodding. You gave voice to my silence, a vet whispered after a Philly stop. Power surged, not ego, but purpose. But fame's double-edged. Paparazzi flashes at LAX. Tabloids twisting, abandoned gay son, now Hollywood power couple. Mom shielded the farm from reporters. Her voicemails fierce. Ignore the noise. Boys. Siblings warmed. My brother even pinned a rainbow flag at his garage. For you, Chris. Progress. Inching. LA's glamour seduced. Though. Red carpet premieres for queer docs we consulted on. A-listers name-dropping our book. Jonathan thrived. His illustrations now Emmy contenders for a streaming series on hidden histories. I consulted for brands. Nike's Be Unapologetic campaign. My ditch sketch iconic. Nights. We debrief on the deck. Malbook flowing. Remember dumpster fries in Dallas? He'd tease. Laughter bridged the glamour's gloss. Cracks re-emerged subtly. Jonathan's wanderlust grew. Sketches of vast canyons. Whispers of a sabbatical in Taos. Need space to breathe, he'd say. Eyes distant. My schedule ballooned. Keynotes at South by Southwest. Panels on Capitol Hill lobbying for equality bills. We're drifting again. I confronted over vegan tacos at an Echo Park haunt. He sighed. Fork tracing patterns. Or growing. What's the difference? The difference was fear, mine. Of another abandonment. His. Of losing self to our shared spotlight. Therapy helped. Our counselor and no-nonsense dyke from Oakland. Boundaries aren't walls, they're gardens. We instituted unplugged Sundays, hikes in Griffith Park. No phones, just trails and touch. One such day, atop the observatory, city sprawled below. He dropped to one knee, not proposal redux, but a vow renewal. To us, untethered but tied, ring exchanged for a braided leather band. Simple as our start. Fall foliage turned the canyons fiery, mirroring inner blaze. The book's launch party in NYC was electric. Rita Mae Brown toasting. RuPaul DJing. But en route, a storm delayed our flight. Holed up in a midway lounge. Jonathan confessed, got an offer. Solo residency in Berlin. 3 months. Heart stuttered. When? January. Thought you'd say no. I didn't. Go. I'll hold the fort. But packing his bag felt like folding goodbye. He left with a kiss at the gate, promising daily FaceTimes. The loft echoed emptier. My designs sharper with longing, edgy lines channeling absence. January bit cold. His emails glowed from Berlin's gray. Mauer Park sketches. Your face in every stranger. Mine Hill hearings. Testifying on conversion therapy bans. Voice steady but soul adrift. Mom visited, filling the space with brisket and stories. Your dad's watch. Wear it. I did. It's tick a metronome to resilience. Midway through, crisis struck. A family emergency. My sister. Car wreck in Austin. Pinned under wreckage. Come now, Mom begged. I flew east. Jonathan rerouting from Heathrow. Hospital waits were purgatory. Beeps. Antiseptic sting. Her hand limp in mine. Fool driver, the doc said. She pulled through, pins and plates, but the scare gutted. Jonathan arrived haggard, collapsing into my arms in the ICU hall. Scared shitless. Thought I'd lose you both. We tag-teamed recovery, him flying back for her PT, me handling media for a benefit we launched, Road to Recovery, auctioning art for queer youth trauma funds. It raised 6 figures. Headlines praising the couple that conquers. Spring thought us anew. Jonathan cut the residency short, returning with a tattoo, intertwined roots on his ribcage, matching mine. Permanent, he murmured, tracing in our sheets. We dove into expansion, pop-up exhibits in Atlanta, tying to Southern queer history. Audiences swelled, church kids coming out, elders nodding recognition. But controversy brewed. Summer Scandal, a conservative pundit on Fox, twisting our book as gay propaganda poisoning youth. Boycotts hit sponsors, my Nike deal wobbled. Rage-fueled an op-ed in the Times, From Ditch to Defiance, Why Queer Stories Save Lives. It trended. Backlash fierce, trolls doxing our address. Hate mail piling. Jonathan barricaded the door one night. Face ashen. This is war. We armored up, security cams. Lawyer on speed dial. A rally in WeHo turned chaotic, counter-protesters hurling slurs. But our chants drowned them. Love wins. Bruised but unbroken. We emerged tighter, testifying before Congress on hate speech laws. Autumn's harvest brought bounty. The book hit bestseller lists. A Hulu adaptation greenlit. Mom, beaming at signing. Clutch copies for neighbors. Changing minds. One page. Siblings road tripped west. Barbecues on our deck. Jonathan grilling like kin. To family. Chosen in blood, my brother toasted. Yet high tides recede. December whispered doubt. Jonathan's Berlin sketches sold to a museum. Whispers of a European tour. 6 weeks, he pitched. Weariness hit. Always the pull. Argument flared. Me accusing escape. Him me of clipping wings. We're suffocating, he yelled. Door slammed. He crashed at friends. Nights alone. The watch ticked accusations. Mom's wisdom. Fight fair. Or lose the war. I swallowed pride. Driving to his studio at dawn. Don't go. Or take me. He turned. Charcoal streaked. Eyes raw. Missed this. Embrace followed. Apologies whispered. We renegotiated. Joint tour. Weaving U.S. Stops. Europe shimmered later. A Paris reading. Saint strolls hand in hand. Back home. Success plateaued contentedly. Mentorship programs for young designers. Jonathan teaching at CalArts. The Ditch? Folklore now. Inspiring scholarships in my name. New Year's Eve. Fireworks burst over the Hollywood sign. Jonathan pulled me close. From Roadside to this, worth every scar. Kisses under sparks. Future vast. But life's script twists. January brought the call. Mom, cancer. Stage 4. The world grade. Flight to Texas was blur. Jonathan beside. Hand anchor. Hospice mirror dad's end. Tubes. Regrets. Proud of you both, she rasped, clutching our joined hands. Her passing was gentle. Farm funeral a tapestry. Townsfolk murmuring amends. Siblings vowing support. Grief's weight bowed us, but lifted in shared sketches, her portrait, laughing eternal. Spring greened. Our garden blooming literal. Tomatoes from her seeds. Success? Not conquest, but quiet victory. Love's stubborn bloom in American soil. Grief's a thief, stealing breath in quiet moments, but it forges gold from ash. Mom's death hollowed the farm. Echoes louder without her hum in the kitchen. We stayed a month, sorting relics, photo albums yellowed, her quilts stitched with resilience. Jonathan pored over them, sketching vignettes, her hands, like yours strong. My siblings leaned in, barriers crumbling. We divvied heirlooms not as treasure, but talismans. Back in L.A., the void lingered. Work stalled, my designs angular with loss. His illustrations shadowed. A therapist suggested ritual, honor her in creation. We did, a memorial exhibit in Silver Lake. Threads of tenacity, blending her quilts with our art. Opening nights swelled, locals, queer elders, even a cousin from the old town. Eyes misty. She'd love this, he said. Revenue seeded a fund for rural queer support. Ironic justice. Turning Bible Belt pain to bridge. Summer healed in increments. We road-tripped the Southwest, Grand Canyon sunsets, Route 66 diners, rediscovering rhythm. Remember that first Dallas drive? Jonathan mused, arm over the seatback. Laughter bubbled. You nearly rear-ended a cop. Touches turned tender under motel neon. Bodies reaffirming life's pulse. Career crested gentle. My Nike arc evolved to a foundation. Ditched to design workshops for at-risk LGBTQ plus youth. Teaching graphics as empowerment. Teens arrived wary. Left fierce, portfolios bursting. Eyes alight. Jonathan guest lectured. His stories weaving magic. Art's rebellion. Kids. On it. A documentary, Crew, shadowed. Phoenix Rising. Premiering at Sundance to standing ovations. But renown invites reckonings. Fall brought a subpoena, the Fox pundit, suing for defamation over my op-ed. Courtrooms in D.C. drained, depositions dredging the ditch, lawyers parsing hate. Jonathan testified. Voice steel, words like his leave real ditches. We won. Settlement, funding, more scholarships. But toll lingered, nightmares of gravel. His comfort the balm. Winter whispered change. Jonathan's agent dangled a MacArthur whisper, genius grant for his graphic histories. If it hits, we're set, he said. Excitement tempered. It did. Confetti in our mailbox. $625,000. No strings. For the world, the letter read. We toasted with Texas bourbon to breaking chains. Emboldened. We pivoted, buying the farm. Not as museum, but haven. Renovations bloomed. Guest cabins for artist retreats. A studio barn overlooking fields. Queer agrarian utopia, Jonathan joked. Hammering beams. Siblings invested. Turning cotton to community, organic co-op. Pride parades snaking dusty roads. The stun unfolded organically. Spring fair. Town square strung with lights. We unveiled. Farm reborn. Scholarships announced. Old-timers gawked, me on stage. Jonathan beside. Unveiling a mural. Families mending. Rainbows over ranches. From abandonment to abundance, I spoke. Voice carrying. Applause rippled. Hesitant, then hearty. The pundit's face. Twisted in a front-row scowl. Cracked to reluctant nod. Mom's quilt hung central. Siblings flanking. Tears communal. A young kid, wide-eyed, approached post-ceremony. Sir, your story. I'm like you. Scared. I knelt. Jonathan's hand on shoulder. Were. Now, you're the phoenix. His grin. Tentative. Sealed at Legacy Live. Years folded. Retreats filled with laughter. Our book a curriculum staple. We mentored dozens, designers, dreamers, ditches becoming launch pads. Jonathan's series Emmy'd. My foundation national. No kids biological, but chosen family swelled. God kids from siblings. Mint calling collect. Decades mark. Anniversary on the farm porch. Stars wheeling. Jonathan, silver-threaded, raised a glass. From roadside reject to this empire. Stunned him good. I leaned in, watch ticking steady. Us against the world. 1. America. Its prairies and pulses. Had bent, not broken. Scars mapped our map, but love navigated true. The ditch? Fertile ground now. Growing grace.